Hey, Forge FC fans, your digital host Louis B checking in from the home studio. And of course, Forge getting set to start off their CONCACAF League run against Municipal Limeño. I don't even know if I'm saying it right. That's how I've been saying it. To get answers on that and many other questions, we bring in our friend Oliver Platt, one soccer analyst. Ollie, am I saying it? Have I been saying it wrong all week? What is it? Who are they playing? What's the name of the team?
I don't know if I'm in any position to correct you. Municipal Limeño. I think you put a bit of a stress on the
that's what like the little thing over the like El Nino. That's the little thing over the
exactly.
Okay, so
close enough.
I think it's Municipal Limeño. I think Bobby has said it a different way, but anyway, it's going to be a great game. Forge on their way to El Salvador right now. What's the expectations for Forge in a tournament like this?
Yeah, it's tough to say just because of the way this year's been, right? And the fact that they're going to have to go into another kind of bubble situation. They don't get to come back to Tim Hortons Field and play games here in the first two rounds, obviously. So it's tough to go away to Central America and get results in those, do or die situations. But I do look at like the draw all the way through the first two rounds and then potentially the quarterfinal as well. And the big thing this year for Forge is that they've avoided those teams from Costa Rica and Honduras. And so you have a bit more, I think, of a winnable route through to the quarterfinals. And obviously, you get a win in the quarterfinals and you're playing in the Champions League next year. So pretty massive opportunity for Forge.
Going back to last year, I mean, they had a great run, make it to the round of 16. They go up against CD Olympia, and they came here and Forge sent them home down 1-0. I mean, just like put it into perspective, just how big that win was, looking back on it now, a first-year team, a first-year league, what they were able to do against basically a powerhouse country in Central America, powerhouse team.
Yeah, it was a massive result, and it probably didn't get the kind of recognition it deserved. I think when you look at Cavalry beating the Vancouver Whitecaps, everyone understood how big that was just because they know more about an MLS side. But I think beating Olympia was right up there. Obviously, unfortunately, they didn't get it done over two legs and go through to the next round. But yeah, being able to beat an established powerhouse like that, a team that has so much experience in those competitions, has some good international caliber players. For a team in its first year, just a few months into its existence, to do that was, for me, a real highlight of Forge's two seasons so far, and one that probably didn't get talked about enough just because maybe people aren't as familiar with CONCACAF and the new CONCACAF League and things like that. But it was a really impressive result for sure.
You're talking about a highlight of the first two seasons in which Forge won two championships. So I mean that's right up there. If you're saying,
sure, yeah.
You can see here by my shirt, back to back champions. Looking at this team, I know you talked to Bobby before he left for El Salvador. What do you get from him? What's the sense of the kind of style they have to play going down there? Because it is a different style of football a little bit in Central America. They do play a little rough and tumble style football, don't they?
Yeah, they do. And what Bobby said was essentially that, you've got to kind of choose your moments to try and play and to try and be aggressive and those things. And then you've got to understand that you can't do it for 90 minutes with, the conditions. Sometimes the pitches aren't great. The humidity down there can be tough to deal with. And so there are times where you've got to kind of sit back and just, absorb pressure a little bit at times and manage the game in that way. I think one of the positive things, having watched a couple of Limeño's league games so far, is that they're playing at the National Stadium in San Salvador, because if you go on YouTube and look at where this team plays normally, it's a tough field. That's not where you'd want Forge to be playing this game. It's basically kind of a public park. So that's a plus, and that should make the conditions a bit easier. But yeah, these teams are never easy to play against in their own countries.
Optimistically, what's a goal that Forge could set for themselves? You mentioned, you make it to the quarterfinals, you're in the Champions League. Like, is that realistic? Would that be, a pie in the sky idea, or what should Forge be looking at? Like, could they consider moving into the round of 16 a win, or because they did that last year, it would be a disappointment? What are you looking at from them in this tournament?
Yeah, I don't think it would be a disappointment, because Tauro, the team from Panama that they play in the next round, are a good team. And as I said before, not having the game at Tim Hortons Field is tough. You have to go away from home and then win. So I don't think it would be massively disappointing if they didn't get through that game. I think they should beat Limeño. I think, obviously, as I've said, it's tough to go anywhere in Central America, and it won't be a walkover, but I do think they have the quality to do that. And then the Tauro game will be the difficult one, I think. If they can get through that one, then they're probably looking at playing a Jamaican team in the quarterfinal, which may actually be a bit more of a winnable game than the Tauro game is. So I think a lot will rest on that game, and that will be a real good yardstick of where this Forge team is at and how much they've progressed since last year.
Speaking of where this Forge team is at, obviously we're about just over a month removed from the Canadian Premier League Championship. Now that you've escaped the bubble from the time that we were 6 weeks quarantined all together there, looking back at this season, do you feel like first of all, how well was it all pulled off in your opinion as someone who was there? And do you think that Forge is going to look back on this as maybe it's a championship, but it was in a bubble, so it wasn't as nice as the first one?
No, I don't think so. First, to answer the first question, I think it was just great that we had a season. It was unique, and it was something hopefully we'll never see again, obviously, if we can get the world a bit back to normal next year. But for a second-year league to pull that off and just to have a season at all, and we know how important that was for the league's future, I think was massive. And to be honest, is there going to be a bit of an asterisk in any league this year? Probably. It's not a normal season. We all know that. But I think in some ways, the achievements that Forge and any team that's won a championship this year have had is almost in some ways more impressive. To be in that bubble for 6 weeks, to have to cope with each other's company, for that period of time, to stick together as a team. To kind of stick that out is something that no one's ever seen before. No one's ever been prepared for. The coaches don't get taught how to deal with that kind of situation. And yeah, it may not be a normal league championship, but in its own way, I think it's a pretty special accomplishment to come through that in the way Forge did.
The Canadian Championship, a date yet to be determined against TFC, a team that's currently sitting atop the table. Apparently won't get the Supporter Shield, though, but it's currently sitting atop the table in the MLS. How crucial are these games, and for Forge to maybe have a bit of a longer run? How crucial is that for their eventual matchup against TFC? Like you said, a team that's doing really well in the MLS right now.
Yeah, well, we still have no idea when that game's going to be played, so it's hard to say. But obviously, it would help, right, just to be playing consistently or relatively consistently through to the end of the year. And that's one that's hopefully it's not a once in a lifetime opportunity, because I hope Forge is back in these kind of games in the Canadian Championship in the future, and other CPL teams are as well. But again, for a club this early in its existence, it just gives, I think, fans in Hamilton, fans who have maybe seen a game or two but aren't real hardcore fans yet, they can immediately understand Hamilton against Toronto, right? It's a rivalry that everyone knows about, everyone can kind of get behind, and such a big opportunity for Forge to do something impressive in terms of what they've built here, but also reach that bigger audience and start to win people over to this Canadian Premier League. So looking forward to that one for sure.
Well said. Well, we're looking forward to the game this week, of course. Ollie, it's always great to catch up. It's great to see you. We were talking before we went on the air here that we lived together for 6 weeks basically, and haven't seen you since. So it's great to see you.
Yeah, you too.